Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch a Movie. I am Mike, and this is a spoiler-free review of Backrooms. I do have a theory about everything in the movie, and I'm going to save it till the very end of this video to give you plenty of warning. If you haven't seen it, don't want to ruin it for you, but I think I know what happened. I think I got it figured out, Greg. So this movie had a bunch of hype behind it. Obviously, it's going to make a ton of money, just like Obsession just did. Beating Star Wars in your second week of a movie that cost $750,000 to make is both a sign of how crazy horror is right now and of how shitty Star Wars has gotten. But the story centers around a guy who works at a furniture store, and he trips up into some back rooms, and they just keep going, and they keep getting weirder, and things keep changing in the rooms, and the spaces just never end, and they all feel like something's just a little bit off, like when you have a dream and nothing actually looks right. It's just a weird, scary, deep, dark feeling in your crack hole, and that's why they call it the back rooms. I used to work at a place when I was a logistics manager. I would do 12-hour shifts on third shift overnight when I started out and be completely in the building alone. And it was an entire office space. I did a bunch of videos from there when I was working on the channel before I did it full time. And you can see those here. And like in the middle of the night, completely by myself in this huge space, and the entire back end of the office complex was completely empty. So I could just walk around. I could literally do laps around the building, running whatever I wanted to. This movie's primed to like creep me out because I know how creepy those spaces can be. And it didn't. I'll say that. I'll say the first thing about this movie is that it did this. It's not all bad, but it is not scary. I don't feel like it's far more interesting than it is scary. Like, I was totally into what's going on, and like that thing looks weird and freaky, more so than I was scared. There's a couple unsettling moments. For sure, there's a couple unsettling images more than anything else. Certain things that you'll notice in the back of the room that the movie might not ever mention. Like, why is that dude's head sticking out of that pile of laundry? Stuff that freaks you out and is freaky, but overall not a very scary movie. The parts that were supposed to be intense, they do something with heights that, God, we got my vertigo going. Very clever how they film this thing too. Like, it's kind of Inception-ish. The ceiling will be the floor, and everything's messed up, and you're in this wacky, weird world. The spaces and the settings is what makes the movie, and you get plenty of that. But I feel like they spend too much time in a lot of those. Like, there's a lot more exploring than I would have been, there's a couple watch check moments. I'll say that. We explored some of the rooms way too much, and you kind of know where it's going to go, so you're just kind of in a rush for the movie to just go ahead and get there already. Like, can we get to the scary stuff? And is the back end's barely, worth the squeeze. Now, if you're talking about something like Five Nights at Freddy's, which is like one of these lore-based things that turn into a video game, versus this, I mean, it's night and day. The Backrooms, to me, is a 10,000 times better movie-watching experience than that was. But that's for kids, right? It's a decent horror movie, for sure. So that's the question. Are we going into a fucking dud room, or are we going into a really interesting, fun room where you're going to do some cool shit? When they did the cool shit, it was great. That being said, way more so than Obsession, this movie feels like it was made by a YouTuber. And that's no disrespect at all. I couldn't have made this movie. I couldn't have come up with this idea. I couldn't have scored this movie like Kane Parsons did. So that's no disrespect about that. But what I mean is, like horror movie shorts, when you watch them, the jump scare boogie monsters kind of have almost a certain aesthetic to it. While there's not a lot of jump scares in this movie, the creepy things that you see that come out have that same exact sort of vibe to them. But I do appreciate, on the other hand, the practical effects of this. You don't need a bunch of CG and a bunch of ass like that in this movie. Makeup, and I appreciate the hell out of that part of it. And there's some cool ideas in it. A couple of the things that were supposed to be scary were kind of childish. Like, just a touch childish, kind of in a creepypasta internet sort of way, but that's what this is based on, so you can't really judge it too much for that. It's kind of an internet thing, but I'm just saying it holds it back from really getting to the point where I would call it scary. But it was interesting, apart from the moments where you check your watch. The main actor in it is great. He does a great job relating his emotions in the moment to the audience. He's interesting to watch. Now, while sometimes these scenes drag on a little bit, if you're worried that this is going to be the Skinamarink or the Outwaters or something like that, I really don't think it qualifies for that. I think it's more entertaining and straightforward than those movies were. I'm not a Skinamarink fan at all. I also don't think it's that deep. You know what I mean? I think it's a pretty simple, like, when you sit back and pick it apart, and we'll talk about that in a minute, it's not nearly as deep or out there as I think some people will have expected it to be. So it's strangely average, which is shocking. You know, you expect going into this movie, it's either going to piss a lot of people off, or it's going to be weird and stupid, or it's going to be the greatest thing of all time and be super fucking scary. It's a weirdly average movie. The fascinating ideas that they portray and the cool little moments where you're just like, look at that fucking weird looking thing walking down that weird fucking looking hallway. Those little moments make up for the fact that it's otherwise pretty average, but cool. So I'm like dead ass in the middle of the road on this one. I'm going to give this movie a 7. Just a bit above middle of the road. Like I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again for some of the cool effects and little chase scenes and things like that they did. But it's definitely got some moments you can fast forward. Like when you know what's up, you could start this bitch right in the middle. The idea of what's going on here was pretty fascinating. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. And by the way, before I get into spoilers and about what I think happened in this movie, I do want to point out to you guys, I just did a video for Joe Blow, did 2 videos for Joe Blow actually, if you want to check them out. One is on Love in the 90s, and it's about the Power Rangers toys. I say this on this channel because I know you guys, I know so many of you guys remember those times and have nostalgia for them fondly, but the craze that took over the 90s with the Power Rangers toys specifically goes through every single toy from the Power Rangers lore that I made, and it's a great time. So check out that video. I'll put a link in the pinned comment and a video about Kickboxer as well that I did for them that I think you guys will get a kick out of it. But sorry for my short breath here. I'm fucking battling the shit out of a sinus infection that's beating my balls, but I'll survive. So here's what I think happened in the movie. Now, again, no lore known about the Backrooms. Like I had asked my teenage daughter, she's 16. By the way, she thought it was just fine as well. She gave it like a 6. She's becoming a harsher critic than I am. But I barely know anything about the lore. I never watched the TV series or the YouTube video. Don't know anything. This is my first foray with the experience in it. And I have not looked up a single ending explained video. I have not looked up any of that shit. This is just my complete idea. And maybe it's dumb as shit, but I think I fucking nailed it. Personally, could be fucking wrong. But okay, so the Backrooms are basically your own mind. Whatever happens or however this is going on, you go into them and it's your own mind. And the reason all the rooms and stuff is fucked up is because your conscience and the mirrors and the memories and things that it has, nothing's quite right. But whatever this is that you step into, it pulls all the shit out of your mind. And specifically trauma and bad and fucked up things. And I think that whatever happened was Mark Duplass, he survived it. Right? And he still has to go back in, but he survived it. But he knows about brains because he worked on MRI. So he's obviously very smart with this. Now, I don't know if he had something to do with the creation of whatever this is or how this happened, but it definitely stretches out multiple places because he asks her when she's sitting there, is this the location that you went into? Holding up a picture of the furniture store, meaning there's multiple locations. So however this works, it stretches across mass locations. And I don't know if they're testing it. They don't explain any of this stuff. But the way I take it is, it mirrors what's inside your mind and your problems and your issues and whatever. And like if they're going to end up eating you alive, if they're going to end up killing you, or if you can overcome them. And the reason that Clark doesn't make it out is because he admitted, I just want to sit in them. So he let his brain and his own problems and the things he created in his mind, in part, eat him alive, literally, and kill him. Now she is a therapist. She was taking her medicine. They showed her taking her medicine throughout the film, but that could be a good, just because you see someone taking it doesn't mean they're abusing it. We're conditioned to think that in movies, but in this case, I think she was taking it to help her. She's also very aware of how the mind works. She's very aware of how to get over trauma and all this stuff like that. And I think the reason she was able to survive because she took the one weapon she had, this memory and this trauma that she'd been holding on to, and she used it to save herself. And that's why she survived and he didn't. She was willing to move past it and kind of break through that. Now she's alive. I think the reason that we don't know if she gets out or not, and he says you always have to go back in, is kind of the movie's way of being a mental allegory and saying that you always have to keep working on your brain. You always have to keep working on your issues. It's not a battle that you just get through and it's over with, that you always continue having to work on having a healthy mental health. You always have to go back into there and kind of work through your shit from time to time and learn more about yourself as you live through life. And I think that is what the movie's trying to say. I think. What do you guys think about that? Am I fucking way off or not? Maybe that's dumb, but it made sense to me. Anyways, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was good enough. I'd say don't have the highest expectations in the world, though. People with high expectations, I think, are going to be pissed. But I liked it. Yeah. anything you can talk about that much and think about that much is at least worth a watch one time, in my opinion. But yeah, check out those videos I talked about below. I hope you guys enjoy them, and I love your fucking faces. Talk soon.